And then we have John Deacon, of course. I mean, he's the reason why I even got a bass to begin with. My favorite bass player of all time.
Who's John Deacon?
I play the bass in Queen.
I'm Freddie Mercury, and I'm the lead vocalist of Queen. I'm Brian May, and I play guitar for a group called Queen.
I'm Roger Taylor, and I'm the drummer and one of the singers of Queen.
And my name is John Richard Deacon. I was born on August 19th, 1951.
Do you get intimidated by the size of that crowd?
No, the bigger the better. In everything.
We will rock you. All we hear is Radio Gaga. 'Cause I'm having a good time, having a good time. I'll face it with a grin. I'm never giving in. I'm with the show. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world.
Hello and welcome to Bryer's Music Showcase, and this is the inaugural debut of a brand new series I am starting, and that is the Queen Retrospective, where we're going to go through the entire Queen discography. But as you've seen in the title or in the intro, I'm not doing this alone. I'm doing this with other fellow Queen fans right here, and we're going to introduce them right now. So first up, we have Nick from Townsend 505. We have Jason from Jason the Old Millennial. Then we have Scott from SoundLab Studios. And last but not least, we have Jacob Martin from Jacob Martin. It's actually pretty interesting because I know, Nick, you have appeared on this channel before. And even Jason has appeared a couple times in like random live stuff I've done. But this is the first time we have Jacob and Scott with us today. Kind of going through each person here and kind of give backgrounds on yourself. You know, you can talk about your channel. And you can also talk about how you came across Queen and how you became fans.
Thank you. I am Nick from Townsend 505, as Bryer mentioned. I am a big old music guy. I love old 60s and 70s music. How I got through Queen and how I discovered Queen was my mother. She had a greatest hits copy. The greatest hits that's very well sold greatest hits album. How I discovered their albums now. I was in high school and there was this kid who was a Queen fan, and he's like, Queen is better than the Beatles, no competition. And this was back when I was obsessed with the Beatles. They were my one and only band. And they're like, how can you say that? That is sacrilege. So I'm like, you know what? Let's listen to a full Queen album. I listened to A Night at the Opera, and my mind was blown. The more and more I listened to them, the more and more I loved them. And here's where I announce it now. Queen is my favorite band now.
Wow.
You know what? You know something? I'm not going to disagree with you. I was thinking about all the albums and thinking, like, this is a nearly perfect run of albums. Just thinking about it.
It's hard because I love The Who, but the band that stood the test of time the most for me is Queen. I'm excited to go through all 15 of these records. And
Good choice.
I love it.
All right. Me being the oldest in the group, I've known them the longest, I suppose. I first started listening to them in the early 90s, and that's thanks to the movie Wayne's World.
I think we'll go with a little Bohemian Rhapsody, gentlemen.
Good call.
I didn't know who Queen was, didn't know anything about Queen. My dad had to tell me that there's a band named Queen doing that song, and I was like, this is a band? I thought it was just a joke song. I started listening to 70s music, and like I said, this is early 90s, so I don't know if I'm 10 years old at this point or whatever when I first heard this, and I started listening to the radio station. Every time Bohemian Rhapsody came on, I got so excited, and it was one of my favorite songs I've ever heard. And that's when I kind of got into Queen a little bit. Obviously, I heard all their big hits on the radio growing up, but it wasn't until 2 years ago, I would say, that I really dived into Queen. And boy, man, when I listened to all their albums, yeah, I definitely grew a big appreciation for the band even more. Not only great bands, but great albums. When people say they don't have good albums, and I was like, I disagree. I think they have a lot of good albums. They really are my second favorite band of all time. I mean, sorry, they're not going to beat the Beatles ever, but second place is not bad. Definitely not the biggest Queen fan out of this group, but I really like Queen.
What's up, Scott from SoundLab Studios? Except that banner behind me is no longer an accurate logo. I just changed my logo to something really cool, something more retro looking. I actually have a bachelor's degree in music. So I just love everything music. Queen, though. Queen has to be one of my 5 favorite artists ever. When I was 13 or 12 or 13, I was really into old video games. There was this arcade that I went to, and you could pay like $10 and you could play all you could play games, and there was a lot of 80s games there. My dad grabs my attention, is like, hey, come play this game. You got to play this game. It's so addictive. I'm like, okay, what is it? It was Guitar Hero. And my dad liked it so much that he ended up buying a Guitar Hero controller for the Wii that we had. He bought a Lego Guitar Hero game, and on the Lego Guitar Hero game was 2 Queen songs, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. And they even had a little Lego Freddie Mercury. It didn't matter which character you picked in the game. It would always make you Lego Queen because that's how iconic Queen was. But I remember being like, oh yeah, these are really cool songs. My mom used to play this oldies radio station a lot. It was 98.7. It's still there in Texas. It's changed ownership and names now, but it's the same radio station. Anyway, she turns the radio on, and it's in the middle of this song. The song was called Bohemian Rhapsody, and it was in the middle of the ballad section. I think it was somewhere around the Mama, and I was like, oh, wait a second. This is the Queen people. This is the people that do We're the Champions, We Will Rock You. Well, to say that song had a lasting impact on me, and it was like, this is the greatest song I've ever heard. We got the Queen Greatest Hits CD like Nick was talking about, and that introduced me to more. It's just like, every time I heard a Queen song, I thought it was so cool. It was just so different from anything I'd ever heard before. And so, yeah, Queen is just, they're that good.
All right. Well, I'm Jacob. Jacob Martin. That's my YouTube channel. It's interesting, the history of how I got into music, because when I was a kid, I listened primarily to country music. I was very much a country music guy. I didn't listen to much other stuff from outside genres. Occasional ones will pop up in there, like Elvis and maybe the Beach Boys, but like a lot of these like rock and pop acts were kind of introduced to me later in my life. Putting that into Queen, I don't remember what the first Queen song I remember hearing. I'm thinking about what was the first one I heard. I know I heard We Will Rock You pop up from time to time in different movies I watched as a kid. We're the Champions. I remember Chicken Little singing that.
Of the world.
I remember the movie Happy Feet, that weird animated singing dancing penguin movie. And there was a cover of Somebody to Love in that movie. And at the time, I thought that was a really cool song. And then I think sometime later, I heard the original artist. I'm like, oh, yeah, I really like that song. I think at some point, once I started discovering more classic rock music, I started hearing more and more Queen songs. But let's just say the more Queen music I started listening to, the more I really started loving their music. You got Freddie Mercury, probably one of the best lead vocalists in any band ever. Probably one of the best singers, period. Some epic bass playing from John Deacon, and probably one of the best drummers with Roger Taylor. I put him up there with Phil Collins and John Paul Jones, if I'm being honest. He is so good on the drums.
John Paul Jones is the bass player and the keyboard player.
John Bonham.
John Bonham. I'm sorry. John Bonham.
Don't diss John Paul Jones like that.
That would be a great
John
clip.
Bonham. That was a big error on my part. I'm sorry, Led Zeppelin fan. Not every Queen song sounds the same. They could do a hard rock song here, They could do a poppier song here. They could do song with operatic elements. They could sing silly, goofy songs. They could do really serious songs. I'm excited to dive deep again into the world of Queen.
Great stories from everyone here. And it really does warm my heart to hear other Queen fans talk about them. Queen has a massive impact for me. So I got into them like when I was very young. Well, not that young. I was like mid-teens, roughly. And before then, I've said this story a few times already, but before Queen, I had zero interest in music. Like I was just listening to whatever was going on. I even remember when I was a very young kid, like when I was like 5 or 6, every time music would turn on, I would tell my mom, "Turn that off. That's just noise." Yeah, I just didn't like music. I guess I was tone deaf when I was a kid. Still, I was not really in a drive to listen to music. Like I didn't have a favorite band. I didn't have a favorite singer. Every time music would play, it would just kind of be background noise. And it wasn't until the most random encounter happened. Does anybody know the channel Epic Rap Battles of History?
Yes.
I think I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did an episode where they had Frank Sinatra rap against Freddie Mercury.
Frank Sinatra! Was it?
And that was like
a hot combo.
yes. Of course, Freddie won, in my opinion, but that's getting ahead of myself. After doing some research, I realized I looked at some songs they did. Of course, the first song was Bohemian Rhapsody. That was the first one I checked out. And I kid you not, when I first heard it, my first reaction was, it was all right. Didn't click for me at that moment. And the next thing I played was, I believe it was Another One Bites the Dust. And I heard the bass line. I'm like, wait a minute, I heard that song before. And then I decided to go to Don't Stop Me Now. And I'm like, okay, I don't think I heard that song, but hey, this is kind of fun. I'm actually liking this. And then the next song I played was We Will Rock You. And the first thing I said is like, oh my God, they made that song?
Yeah.
And then We Were the Champions. Same story. I was like, they made that song? And it just kept going and going. I'm like, I heard a lot of Queen songs growing up. I would say in that one summer this all happened, I binged pretty much the entire catalog. And by that point, I've gone back to Bohemian Rhapsody, and that's when it finally clicked. Like, this is the greatest song ever made now. So I kind of came full circle. From that point on, that's when I want to venture and really explore music, because to me, Queen were that band that kind of exposed me to all different types of music. Of course, I told my mom I was liking Queen, and of course she got excited. She started recommending bands and albums, and from that point on, I was on my own. And really, it's really Queen is why I own way too much stuff. So all in all, to kind of get back to the point, I mean, that's why Queen just has this very important place in my heart. Just how much they impact me. Of course, Freddie Mercury, love his vocals. I mean, he's still, in my opinion, the best singer of all time. And really, he's basically my spirit animal. Like, he's the one I want to be like that, because I kind of resonate with him. Especially, I'll go more on more of his personal life as we go along with the series. But just certain things in his personal life just really resonate with me. Of course, Brian May, still my all-time favorite guitar player of all time. Roger Taylor, of course, fantastic drummer, very underrated. I feel like most people don't give him much credit. And then we have John Deacon, of course. I mean, he's the reason why I even got a bass to begin with. I actually started with guitar first, but eventually I kind of resonate with the bass more. But really, it was John Deacon, my favorite bass player of all time.
Who's John Deacon?
I play the bass in Queen.
The whole band, just absolutely immaculate. To me, they are the best band of all time. No one can convince me otherwise. So that's all I'll say there. But in any case, that kind of introduces everyone here. It's finally time to get started. And of course, we are starting with the beginning. We have Queen's debut from 1973, came out July 13th in the UK, or September 4th if you're in the US, released through EMI and Elektra. Before we begin talking about each track, first we got to start from the beginning. We're going to start with a little band called Smile. And this band was basically a power trio. You had Brian May on guitar, Roger Taylor on drums, and on bass and lead vocals, you had Tim Staffel. They kind of played many shows in the college circuits. They actually got some pretty, kind of a fan base, with one person being a big fan, and that guy turned out to be a person by the name of Farouk Balsara. Of course, by that point, he was already known as Freddie to his friends. Everything was going okay, but eventually got to the point where it was clear that Smile was not really going anywhere. They were recording a couple demos here and there, but nothing was getting picked up. Eventually came to a head when Tim decided to leave the band, and he decided to join another band that he thought would be the next big band. That band was called Humpy Bong.
Wow.
Wow.
How is the band going to be the next big thing with a name like that?
Poor old Tim. Thought he was making a good decision.
So Tim could have been a band and just had Mercury. That would have been changed history. That's interesting.
Well, you don't have to feel sorry for Tim, because after, well, of course, Humpy Bong clearly didn't do anything. He actually went ahead and became a model maker. He's actually credited as being the chief model maker for the first season of Thomas the Tank Engine.
No way.
He
No.
did.
Okay.
He
Why
did.
are all of your interests interconnected?
That's crazy.
He
That's
That
did.
is
wild.
crazy. Not gonna lie, that is crazy.
That is crazy.
But any case, Tim was out of the band, and now Brian and Roger were like, well, what are we going to do now? And it was actually Freddie who suggested, hey, you shouldn't quit. I'll join the band, and we can keep going. And Roger and Brian were like, okay, sure, let's do it. And it was clear that Freddie had a vision, because, of course, as he's watching Smile, he's already thinking of ideas like, oh my god, you can do this instead. Like, oh, if you did this, it would be even better. Like, you look cooler. They played their first show as Queen, because it was Freddie's idea to change the name from Smile to Queen. Brian and Roger were kind of like, are you sure about this? And Freddie was like, oh no, don't worry, darlings. The people will love it. So don't worry about it. But of course, Freddie can't play bass, so they gotta find another bass player. They actually went through 3 bass players. So after much searching, they finally picked a guy named John Deacon. And he joined the band in 1971, and he was only 19 at the time he joined.
Wow.
So he was the youngest of the 4. And they kind of liked John because they liked his very quiet demeanor. Didn't want to be in the spotlight too much. He just played his bass and just kind of let the other guys do their thing. 1971, the Queen lineup, the classic Queen lineup, was finally set in stone, and they continued to play shows, and slowly they started gaining some attention from producers. Eventually they settled on doing some demos. They recorded some demos at the Lane Lee Studios. They kind of sent these demos out, and they were approached by 2 producers, those people being John Anthony and Roy Thomas Baker. And they recommended them go to Trident Studios. They were offered to record, but because by that point they didn't have a ton of money, so the only times they could record for cheap was to record it in the evening, or most of the time a whole night. But after all that, they finally recorded the album, found a distributor. They chose EMI for the UK, and then for the US it was Elektra. And it, of course, came out, and it got decent reviews, but sales were very lackluster. Didn't really sell that well, and was kind of almost pretty much forgotten for most part. So that's pretty much the information on the debut. So now let's go ahead. Let's talk about packaging. Let's talk about the album cover, of course. And you can give your thoughts on the front cover, the back cover, or any other little quirks about it. So just you can give your brief thoughts on those.
My thoughts, I'll give my thoughts on the US cover, and I'll give my thoughts on the UK cover. First, of course, the original UK cover. It's zoomed out. It's like a purple-ish color, and it has the Queen in purple. I really like this album cover. I always have. As for the US cover, the one that me, Scott, Bryer are holding, yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't care for this version of the album cover. I don't like how zoomed in it is on Freddie Mercury, if I'm being honest.
It's not one I really think about that much. It's a pretty simple cover. Doesn't really pop for me necessarily.
I think this cover tells you everything you need to know about Freddie Mercury in one shot. that you got Freddie Mercury front and center, holding up this mic, doing some kind of crazy onstage antics. I actually kind of like the pinkish color on here. You know, for Queen, these would have a very royal color. Like the purple is very royal as well, but like both of the colors like are very hinting at like a robe. And then the back cover, you got the iconic logo that was drawn by Freddie Mercury here on the back with all the Fantastic Beasts. I like this one here that's like Brian May dressed up as a penguin. Like, is he from Fleetwood Mac or something?
All right. Well, I'm going to keep this brief because I'm not as passionate about album covers as others in the group. But I think it's a good album cover. It's kind of like what Scott said. It showcases, Freddie Mercury and his stage presence. I honestly could care less if it's purple or pink. It works for me either way. Probably one of the better album covers they have. It's definitely not the Miracle.
Oh, that one is.
Or the game. But besides that, any case, but of course, I mean, I've always liked the cover. The little image they got of Freddie was actually based on an actual photo they got early on of Freddie just doing this very similar pose, and they thought it looked great. And I do like the purple personally because I love purple. I mean, look at my lights. That tells you. But yeah, I've always loved the purple. I mean, the more magenta pinkish color, I think it's fine. I do like it. But I like how the spotlight on the original is a lot more prominent. Like, it's literally shining on Freddie, where on the US, it's not as, you can't really tell. It's more like Freddie's like in this purple void or whatever. And the back cover is really fun. Of course, Brian, that's Penguin, and you have each different live shots of each member. And you have Brian with a beard, which you don't see too often. Another very nice quirk about the album cover is the credits. This is the only album credited to not John Deacon, Deacon John. And really, it was just a marketing thing because they thought it would make John sound cooler. But very quickly, we're going to see that go away very fast. You can go ahead and kind of give your brief thoughts on this album without giving too many spoilers. So anybody can take the mic.
I am a big fan of Queen's debut album. I will admit, it was one of those albums that took me a bit to get into. It didn't take me that long into getting into, but of the albums that took me into getting into, this was one of the longer ones to get into. It's definitely their least traditional sounding album for them, like what I'm used to with their sound. It's a lot more harder rock, if not with little tinges of prog in there every once in a while. I wouldn't say it's a prog album, but there's teensy bits of prog in it. To me, this was a really good debut album. Even though it's not showcasing what they would do in their, in their golden period, which we'll get to reviewing those albums, I do think that this is a great starter album for the band.
For me, this is an album I don't really go back to pretty much ever. It's not one of my favorite Queen albums that I love to listen to. So I've only heard it really a couple times, I think. And so coming back and reviewing this album again, the only two songs I remember, to be honest, was Keep Yourself Alive and Doing All Right. I remember those songs. I remember going, okay, I remember that. The rest of the album, I just don't even remember because I just remember just not caring about the album. And so coming back and listening to it again, it kind of felt like a first time listen for me because, like I said, the other songs, I just don't even remember how they went or anything about them. So it's actually kind of fun going through this and just going, oh, I don't remember this song at all. It's interesting. Okay. So that's going to be my kind of take when I'm going through this.
I like the album. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I want to save most of my thoughts for the track by track, but I will just say this is a fantastic way to begin their career.
I'm going to share my brief thoughts on when I first heard the album. I thought this was a decent album. I thought at the time it lacked the polish of what I know the band to be for. But I'm like, yeah, this is a decent start. I respect the effort that they were going for here. And then I listened to the album again. I'm like, you know what? Well, you'll find out when we get to the end of the video.
So now it is finally time to talk about each song, track by track. And we're starting with the very first song, the first Queen song to be ever heard back in 1973, and was also the lead single.
Yeah.
by Brian May. This was, of course, written, before John joined the band. This is when Queen was still very new. And, it pretty much reflects just kind of the feeling of being a new band and you're trying to succeed. I think Brian originally said that it was supposed to be sort of tongue-in-cheek, like it wasn't supposed to be taken seriously, but after Freddie joined and he started singing the song, that he realized, like, okay, I think this song has more merits than what I'm leading on.
Yeah, this is a really great way to open up the album, and it's a great way to introduce yourself as a band. That introduction guitar, and I love the part during that. I was like, taking it off. That's how you introduce yourself. This is single-handedly one of the greatest, if not the greatest, opening track to a discography. And it's great, too, because I believe you have all three of the main singers cascading the vocals. It was either, I forgot, I think it was either Roger or Brian.
It was Roger first, who does the "Do You Think It's Better Every Day," and then Brian does.
Every day. No, into my brain. If I looked at this album cover, seeing on a record shelf, and I was like, okay, I'll buy, good album cover, and I listened to it, I'm like, this Queen band has a future because this song rocks. In terms of their early songs, I could see why this was their most iconic early song because this song rocks. I don't really have much more to say. This is an amazing album opener.
Yeah, I agree. This is a really good album opener. I can't think of a better album opener, to be honest. That really gets you into the album and to the Queen sound. And I totally agree with what Nick was saying about my favorite part of the song is the guitar at the beginning is so cool. And I'm going to just say Brian May, I think, is MVP of this album. I think his guitar playing is so good. Like, that's what I think of most about this album is even everybody else does a good job, but I don't know, Brian May really shone out, in my opinion. And it's so catchy that keep yourself alive. That whole part in the chorus, it's maybe the catchiest thing on the whole album. Like I said, I remember this is one of the two songs I remember coming back to this album going, I remember this song. And I don't know if it was a hit song on the radio, but it's definitely one that once you hear it, it just stays with you because of the catchiness. So yeah, really good start.
Yeah, no, this song did not chart that well when it came out.
Yeah,
and surprising. I can see it being a hit song because it's so catchy, but
it's because they were unknowns at the time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they'd have released this in '75 after Bohemian Rhapsody. They'd have been all over this song.
Maybe you're right.
Could this possibly be the best first song on a first album ever? It's definitely a contender. It's definitely it's definitely better than I Saw Her Standing There. It's better than I Put a Spell on You. It's better than Not Fade Away. The sound is all right there. It's funny because Brian May says he doesn't like to consider himself a guitar player, that he considers himself more of an orchestrator that uses guitar to get the sounds out of his head. And I think that's a good way of putting it because Brian May, a lot of his the riffs and the solos and the way the different guitar parts work, because he's an overdubber. He overdubs so many guitar parts that it sounds like an orchestra. I love all of the key changes in there. A lot of times, like especially near the end, they start doing all these key changes, and then he switches it up to "All you people, keep yourself alive. Yeah, take all your time and money, honey." And then he just does that, and then it kind of just fades out there. But it's just like, I have just witnessed one of the greatest debut singles I've ever heard. This is amazing, and I can't wait to follow up or to hear what they follow that up with.
All right. So before I listened to this album, I think for the longest time, this was the only song I knew from this album. I had heard this song before. This was always one that I always liked. But in the context of this album, this song's really great. I love the guitar intro. Great way to introduce your sound, like it's already been mentioned. But then you mix that with, you got some great drumming in there. Freddie's already killing it with some great vocal work. Some very fast singing vocals, especially in the verses. That's hard to keep up, but it adds to the catchiness of the song. And I even like hearing the other members, do this like comic sing off with Freddie near the end of it, which was fun as well. This is a great way to introduce the band. I wish the song charted better than it did, because I think, as some of you guys have already said, this, like, if this came out during their prime, I could see this being a top 10 hit. It's that good of a song. But as for now, this song, I'm going to say it is in my top 5 on this album. It's not even my favorite song, which shows you how great of an album this is. But this is in my top 5. It's really good.
Right. And yeah, I mean, it is for me definitely up there as one of the great starts to any career. I mean, this song pretty much lays the blueprint on where this band will head as they go. And of course, you start off right off the bat with Brian's guitar. And we talked about how unique and just how he's one of those guitar players you can pinpoint. You don't have to, you can hear like a little note and you'll know it's him. His tone is just so iconic. And of course, it all comes down to his Red Special. He built the guitar with his dad, and that's what gives it just that unique sound. It has all these electronics he can just switch out, which can give it way different tones and different sounds that you couldn't really do much on like your stock standard guitars at that time. So he was just a kind of a trailblazer of people who really took guitars and really tried to make it their own. I will mention John, of course, he doesn't have too many massive standout moments, but on this album in particular, especially on this song, he's definitely in there, but he's using a fuzz effect, which gives it a much more lower, very kind of more darker tone, but it sounds really cool. It kind of fits the tone. And then you get to Freddie. When you hear Freddie's vocals, like, man, he is still very young at this point. They're still in their early 20s, but you can just tell just how he's singing, just how much kind of spunk he has. Like, you can already hear him trying to be a big star. It's definitely an excellent opening song to a career and one of the best examples of it. So we're starting off with a great note. So now we move on to the next song, which was also the B-side to another song here, which was Liar. Now, of course, is Doing All Right.
Where will I be this time?
What's notable about this song, it's I think the only Queen song that's credited to someone who wasn't technically a member by this point. So it's Brian May and Tim Staffel, who of course was part of Smile, which makes this technically a Smile song originally.
Where will I be this time tomorrow?
Yeah, this is one of the best songs that they've made that wasn't fully written by Queen. I mean, the fact that they didn't cover any songs just shows how great they are. If your B side is as epic as this, to me, that shows me that you actually care as a band to make quality songs, and of course, everyone else will have a turn to say their side of how they feel about the song. But to me, this is such a amazing follow-up song. Checking my notes. This did make my top 5. I really, really like the song.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I like how they did this song right after the more fast-paced rock song, and it's kind of cool how they show early in this album Queen can do different types of songs, I guess, because really great, catchy first song, more fast-paced electric guitar, and this song is more, softer, almost ballad type song, and you're getting different vocal performance from Freddie Mercury here, and they're great. Like, I love his voice in this. I love how he can he can rock it, and then he can sing you a nice, almost kind of ballad type song. The first 2 songs are 2 songs that I remember the most, so they made the deepest impact on me. And I think that's the best harmonies probably in the whole album. When they do that, doing all right, like that. Oh my gosh, harmonies are so good. That's my favorite part of the song, is just when they go do that, I guess the chorus, or whatever. And we'll see what goes next after this. But yeah.
This is amazing. I think it's cool that they kind of updated the song here, kind of brought that over into Queen. Although I heard that Freddie was kind of just singing it kind of in a similar fashion to the way that the other guy did it. This is a very different Freddie Mercury than you would hear on later albums. You can hear the very youthful voice here. And it's interesting to hear them kind of doing all this stuff, trying to find their sound, getting a start. I think it's super interesting. just kind of this chill song. But then, like halfway through, it just goes into and then Brian May starts just like shredding the guitar over that riff, and it's like, man. First, you're gonna hit us with "Keep Yourself Alive," and then you're gonna hit us with this. Like, I like to say, the second song on an album is honestly like could very well be the most important song on the album because it's a test to show is the listener willing to go beyond the first song and venture into the rest of the album, because people are willing to put like the big hit or a song that's going to hook people's attention on the first song. It's like the second song is really how you hold their attention, and Queen did that with this song. This really pains me that this song is not in my top 5. I wanted this to be in my top 5. This is my number 6 song on the album, but that just shows how good this album is.
2 Queen songs in a row. This one's also in my top 5. I love the slower nature of it. The chords on this song especially, and the way Freddie Mercury sings it. When I first heard this song, I thought I was hearing a Beatles song. Like, this could have been something off of Abbey Road or Let It Be. I'm like, wow, this is really good. And then how is this going to stand out from the Beatles? Well, you got the harmonies with the doing alright. I'm like, oh yeah, we got that great Queen sound in there. It's almost prog-like in a way, with the more that I think about it, which is kind of interesting. And because I'm me slowly getting into more prog music after deep diving Genesis, I picked that up a little bit more. But anyway, I love this song. Again, one of the best songs on this album. Definitely one of their more underrated deep cuts.
Yeah, I've always really enjoyed this track. It's always been a highlight for me. There's always these little things that I really love about it. Of course, you have the gorgeous piano, which was actually done by Brian. So again, you don't really associate Brian with piano so much, but here he's actually playing on this one. Of course, he does a really nice job. Like Scott also mentioned, he is pretty much trying to sing like how Tim did it originally, and I have heard both versions of both Freddie and Tim, and yeah, they're very similar, except one's Freddie and one's Tim. That's really the only difference.
Or more importantly, one's Freddie and one's not.
Yeah. But Tim still does a solid job. And of course Tim would re-record the song for the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, especially for the scene when you see Smile on stage. That they actually brought Tim back to re-record the song for that small part.
Cool.
Yeah. Of course, yeah, they're still kind of close. They still keep in touch. And yeah, I think this song is the first song to really showcase their trademark harmony. Yeah, it's not like polished yet, but that pretty much showcases how closely together between Freddie, Brian, and Roger, how well they kind of really clicked harmony wise. And you have great melodic bass playing from John. Like, again, if you really pay attention, like John's doing like these nice little bass runs as the song goes, just really kind of keeping it floating along. Once the drums kick in, it almost has a little bit of a jazz feel, especially how he's just going about it. Like, it's very reminiscent of how some jazz players would play. It just keeps you on a roller coaster, and you're just having fun the entire time. Fantastic follow-up song here.
Wouldn't you like to know? Wouldn't you like to know? People?
Now we can move on to the first song, penned by Freddie Balsara. Of course, by this point, he is no longer Freddie Balsara anymore. He goes by his stage name, Freddie Mercury, and the song was Great King Rats.
Yeah, so I love Great King Rat. This is a great rock song. It's like almost 6 minutes long, but I never feel the length of it. Like, this is one of those songs where it feels shorter than it actually is. Man, this is a great Freddie Mercury introduction, writing-wise. I love those lyrics. Those lyrics are genius, and such a great sing-along part. It's like, it's not a pop song, but there's so many sing-along parts on this song that I've always sung along to. And there's a part of the song where you're thinking, okay, it's pretty much over. And then it's like, dun, 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 dun. Gosh darn it is impossible to make a top 5 on this album. And yes, this is a top 5 song as well.
Yeah. What a weird title for a song.
I agree, though. That is a weird song title.
I know why.
Who
I
comes
do
up
too.
with ideas?
I'll talk about it when it gets to me.
That's my first thought. I was like, what? Who came up with this idea? Great King Rat.
There's a reason.
I can't think of the Beatles doing a song like this early on. Like,
No, they definitely didn't write songs like Mean Mr. Mustard. And
not till later.
everybody's got something to hide except for me and my monkey.
Right.
Why don't we do it in the road?
I would say from our member from the song is there's lots of like guitar distortion, which was kind of cool. I thought guitar sounded really good on here. This song, yeah, it's okay. It's not one of my favorite or memorable songs for me on the album. I think there's maybe too many guitar solos. Like I'm like, oh, this is really good, and then it seems like there's another one. I'm like, oh, another one, and then another one. I'm like, okay, how many? It felt like one of those where I don't know. It wasn't. I wish it was a little.
Cohesive.
I want to say a little, yeah, cohesive, more tighter as a song. I guess I don't know if that makes sense, but I wouldn't say it's not a bad song, but it's like not a great song either. It's like in the middle for me.
I love this song. It's epic. From what I understand, Freddie Mercury, when he was younger, the first thing he wanted to do was be a fantasy writer. So he had written some fantasy novels about a land he had written, I believe it was called the Land of Rhye, which is where you get the 7 Seas of Rhye from him. Well, the next album and the last song on this album. But he was bleeding his two arts together. They're bleeding through. And he started taking some of his writings and bringing them into his music. And that's where you get Great King Rat, which is one of the characters he wrote about. Is apparently this nasty king who has reverse thinking, who rewards those who do wrong and punishes those who do right. Was what I get from this song, because he's talking about something about like rewarding the sinners and killing the saints or something like that, and was telling people like not to read the Bible or something like that. And I think it's about his rise and eventual downfall at the end of the song is what I kind of got from the end of it. Man, the music on this, it starts out with Brian May doing this kind of muted thing on the guitars, like and then it gets into that the drums, man, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. But the guitars just rock on this thing, man. Oh, it's like Brian May every few seconds is just like tearing it up on the guitar there. Freddie Mercury's vocals. Okay, you had Keep Yourself Alive that was like, allow us to introduce ourselves. We're Queen. You had Doing All Right, which was like, hey, still interested? We're not done yet. We've got an amazing ballad that's going to turn into a great rocker halfway through. Now you got Great King Rat that's like, okay, we were just like, you know, those two songs were amazing. Let's tell you something even better. We're gonna blow your mind with this one. Like, this is insane.
So now we're 3 songs into the album. And this is also in my top 5. This was one that actually shot up on my song ranking because I was hearing this song again. And I'm like, do I love this song? Do I love this song? I've always liked this one, but the more I listen to it, the more I really dig this song. I think also I've noticed some more heavy distortion on the guitars on this one. So I think this is closer to more of a heavy metal Queen song, which you usually don't get out of Queen. And maybe it's because I'm starting to get into Black Sabbath. I just listened to Paranoid the other day, and I love that album. So I think just having that bleed into my listening, I'm like, yeah, there's some great stuff on this album. The guitar stuff is amazing. Even the fantastical lyrics, I think, is what make this song really stand out. The storytelling. This is another one of the best songs on this album, and it's one where the more I listen to it, the more I love it.
Yep. I also really got to give it to Roger. I mean, his drumming is also top notch, like especially in the beginning where it has this like military, almost like going into battle type of feel. It's very, I mean, I should say it's oddly catchy because of just how out there the lyrics can be at times, but it's just very fun. Again, Freddie's vocals has a lot more grit to it. He's definitely more of a bite, which I really love a lot. I mean, again, this is really showcase Freddie's like versatility of how he can go soft, but he can really go in there if he really needs to. Love all the switch ups and the different sections it goes into. especially the part where it goes to like a small acoustic guitar solo, but then it just goes right back into the climax. And it's just, I would argue this is probably Queen's first real epic track. Definitely a precursor of what they would go on with all these different sections they are incorporating. It's just an overall fantastic song. Obviously a highlight, and yeah, it is definitely in the top 5 for me. So now we can move on. We can go on to the 4th song, and it's another Mercury Pen song, and it is My Fairy King. And this is I like how Scott mentioned Freddie's fantasy world, because this is another song based around that. And this is the first song where Freddie is showing his piano playing for the first time. And this also, little fun fact, this is the very song which gave Freddie the inspiration to change his name to Freddie Mercury, because of the line, "Mother Mercury, look what you've done to me." And so what do we think of My Fairy King?
I'm gonna be very repetitive with a lot of these reviews. This is yet another amazing song on the album. To be honest, this was a song that I hated at first. I thought this was a terrible song because I'm like, I don't know, it just didn't grab me. But the more I listen to it, the more I really like it. One thing that I don't, if I'm correct, I don't know if I'm correct or not, but this might be the first time Roger Taylor really does the falsetto with the.
Yes, that's correct.
It's like first time we ever hear Roger Taylor do that. I wonder which other Queen songs he would do that for.
Galileo?
Who even is Galileo?
I love the lyrics. It's one of those songs where just looking at the lyrics, I'm like, lions den with fellow deer and rivers made from wine so clear, flow on and on forever. Dragons fly, sparrows through the air. These are great lyrics. It's one of those songs where it's not a catchy song, but it's one of those songs where it keeps my attention because of the musicianship. Overall, this is yet another great song on the album, just barely missing my top 5. Yeah, it went from being, to me, the worst track on the album, excluding a certain track that we'll talk about at the end. This was my least favorite, but now it shot to number 6. But yeah, I really enjoyed the song, though.
Yeah, so we got a king rat, and now we got a fairy king. Like, this is very interesting. And a lot of fancy type words here. Definitely, it's, when you look at it, you're like, what the heck is going on here? These first 2 albums are definitely very unique compared to, I think, the rest of the discography. Because I was thinking, I know the next album has like an ogre battle and a black queen and a white. I don't know. I want to say after these 2 first albums, he doesn't really do that again. I don't remember, but I want to say he doesn't do these fancy style.
I think Lily of the Valley on Sheer Heart Attack is the last time they do that.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm curious, once we get that far, there must have been some kind of shift and change in their style or what they wanted to do musically. But it's very interesting, getting into this and going, My Fairy King, interesting. But anyways, overall, like, it's not one of my favorite songs. It's another one that felt like, if I remember right, it seems like it's one of those songs that kind of all over the place. And they don't have like one distinct, like, catchy chorus that stays with me. I don't remember the song really at all. Like I do Keep Yourself Alive, Doing All Right. I remember those because I remember that catchy chorus. This, I don't really remember a catchy chorus to it. Musically, I just wrote that. It was good musically, but besides that, I don't really remember the song too well.
I think it's really interesting how Queen are trying to set themselves apart from other bands at the time by doing stuff like this. Like Jason was saying, what other band have you heard of that's writing songs with fantasy-inspired lyrics? Like, they do later on get more traditional lyrics, but it's interesting at the time to hear how they're kind of like, we're trying to make a bold artistic statement that, like, we don't sound like anybody else, but Queen, this is us. It's just an amazing song, and I just really like how it showcases the versatility of Freddie's voice, especially, hitting the high notes there.
All right, so I heard that falsetto earlier today when I re-listened to the album, and I thought that was Freddie, but hearing that was Roger especially makes sense when you get to the that later song that we're talking about. I don't think it's as good as The Great King Rat as far as the fantasy songs go. I I don't think this one has that same bite that the other song has. But there is some great stuff on here musically. I love the piano playing, especially from Freddie in particular. The final part of the song is actually my favorite, where he does the Mother Mercury, what have you done to me? I'm like, yeah, that part I do really like, and there's some good vocal work from Freddie throughout the song. Still a really good song though. Do highly respect it a lot. Just didn't quite make my top 5.
Okay, so this has always been a song I've always enjoyed. It's not it's not in the top 5, I will say, but there's still a lot of great things about this one. Of course, Freddie's piano playing goes without saying. Like, it really shows, like, of course, he was self-taught. He was a self-taught piano player, and still he's like has the very cool melodies he's coming up with here. It just has some great switch ups here and there, and great guitar solos, especially with all the overdubs on it. And I will say, I agree with Jacob. I think the overall conclusion of the song is probably my favorite part, because it has this almost ominous, dark sound to it, which it's not like pleasant sounding, but like you're kind of feeling unease. But then at the very end, it just closes on a not quite happy note, but almost a somber note, which I really love that. Definitely puts a nice little bow on this track. Again, it's not going to be in the top 5 for me, but it still has some great parts about it that I really do enjoy. So now we can move along to the second single. This was the second single released for the album, and it also didn't chart that high. It's another song penned by Freddie Mercury, and of course we're talking about Liar. Fun fact, originally entitled Lover, this was part of Freddie's very early bands he was a part of, and he actually kind of collaborated with another member of this band. The band was called Ibex. I don't know if I said that right. But when he brought the song in, he gave himself full credit because Freddie was the one who actually wrote the lyrics. So that's that. But there we go. What do we think of Liar?
This is a great way to open up the second side of the record. After the end of My Favorite King, it's like, how did they get to follow that first side up? This is such an epic song. I'd say this is their first epic song on an album. I mean, of course, the 4 songs before it I think are epic, but this is like the epic, the 6+ minute epic. This song goes all over the place. I mean, of course, you got the liar, bum ba bum ba bum, liar. I don't have really much more to say. I want to leave Scott to do some of the work, because I know Scott would have a lot to say about the song, but nonetheless, this is another huge highlight on the album for me.
Yeah, I thought this had some of the best guitar playing in it. The guitar playing was really good. And there were some really great drum fills. Like, I love a good drum fill. I love a song where all of a sudden you're playing, all of a sudden, you do one of those things. And I'm like, oh, and you get that in this song where Roger Taylor, just killing on the drums. And this is not the only song. Cool rock song. I love the liar. Yeah, when they do the liar parts, I can't remember that. I do remember it being like 6 minutes long or something like that. It seemed like it was a little long. I mean, 6 minutes isn't really long, and so that was my main criticism. Like, yeah, it was a little long. It was towards the end. I was like, okay, I'm ready for the song to end. It was dragging a little bit for me. So again, it's like right in the middle. It's not great. It's not bad. It's like it's okay. Like, there's stuff I like about it, but I don't love it.
I think this song is epic. The guitars, oh my gosh, the guitars are amazing. Brian May, once again, is going through his crazy guitar solos. Lyrically, very interesting as well. It's about a man who formerly was known for doing some bad stuff, and he's looking at changing his ways and repenting, but people don't want to let him because they think he's lying, and so they're calling him a liar. So it's kind of like the story, The Boy Cried Wolf, where the boy says there's a wolf and there's not a wolf. He's like, haha, I got you. And then when there really is a wolf, they don't believe him. I kind of get the same vibes from this song, where this guy's actually looking at getting better, but the people are just like, liar. And that's my favorite part of this song, is every time that they get that liar. It almost reminds me of that scene in The Princess Bride, where you got the old lady who's like, liar, liar.
jetpack witch.
Such a funny movie, but that's getting off on a tangent there. But this song is amazing. I love it.
All right, this is another song on the album. It's in my top 5. I thought this song was epic. Some amazing guitar work from Brian May. Probably some of the best drumming on this album. True epic in every sense of the word. Even the different sections that are in the song I thought were really cool. It's almost kind of a almost jazz-like section near the end with the drums. Not jazz, Latin, with the percussion. I'm getting my genres mixed up. Where they go, "Mama, gonna be a saint, like that part was really cool. Yeah, this is another great Queen song that's in my top 5. We got some really great songs on this album.
Yeah, I've always loved this song, and that's no lie. Oh no. This is another one of their early epics here, in my opinion. Again, I love that intro. You have the cymbals, the cowbell, and some hand claps in there. It's a great way to kind of set the tone, and then Brian's comes in with his guitar riff. Just another heavy sound he's going for on this one. It just keeps building until it kind of calms down a bit, where Freddie does his more softer vocals. Absolutely gets bigger from that point onward. And of course, Roger's drumming. I think Jason mentions Roger's definitely killing it on the drums, of course, on this entire track. And yeah, I love the section where they go through the whole "Mama, I'm gonna be your slave all day long." And yeah, it's just got a cool like back and forth thing going. Great, fantastic solo from Brian. But of course, this song's also notable because you have John coming in with his own epic bass solo. It's always been one of my favorite songs from the band in general, and so it's going to be ranked very highly. Back to Brian May, another pen song from him. We have "The Night Comes Down." Was another song that was written around about the end of Smile, just when they just broke up, and it's basically a coming of age song of Brian kind of feeling the struggle of growing up. And Brian's always said he struggled with depression growing up, and so it's kind of a reflection on that, how the night comes down on you.
Yeah, this is a great follow-up song. I mean, how do you follow up Bryer? It kind of starts out on an interesting note, though. It sounds nothing like what the song's supposed to sound like, because it's like, I remember hearing that, I'm like, where's this song going? And then it gets to this actual song. I think it's really nice. It's not a song that I really have much to say about. It's just it's like one of those, it's kind of like Out of My Mind by Buffalo Springfield, where it's not like a technical song where there's like a lot of technicality going on there, but to me, just a really good song. It has like a vibe to it that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I agree totally. This is maybe the biggest surprise for me listening to this again, because I don't remember this song at all. And I got to this song and I was like, this song is really good. How come I don't remember this song? I'm baffled because, like I said, I've listened to this album a couple times and the only 2 songs I remember. And so I don't know, going through this, I was like, wow, this is really good. I don't know why I've never thought about this song or never talked about the song being one of their best songs on here. I would say the best hidden gem is, like, I almost want to say it's the best discovery, even though I know I've heard the song before because I've heard this album a couple times before, but it's almost like a new discovery for me. I'm like, I just discovered a new song all of a sudden, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I do love that slower. Again, like this and Doing All Right are kind of the 2 more slower songs. So I really like them because of that. I do love the rock stuff, but I do love it when they go slower sometimes or sing more ballad style stuff. I like the acoustic guitar playing. That's great, contrast to the last song. And, it was more of the last couple songs are more, heavier, more fast-paced rock songs. So yeah, I love that they put something like this in here and change it up a little bit. And I love Mercury's vocals. I mean, he's great in the rock stuff, but man, I don't know, he has a really nice sounding voice when he sings even the softer stuff. So yeah, great song, really a big highlight for me.
The song is amazing. I love the beginning where the guitars are like, and it's like Nick was saying, where is this song going? And then the drums come in and kind of take it to where it's going. The drums on this song are amazing. They're just kind of just keeping a beat, but the sound of them is amazing, which is really weird because I heard that Roger Taylor didn't like the way that his drums were mixed or the sound that they had on this song, which I'm sorry, Roger, but you're wrong. The drums are really what makes this song. Whenever you get into the song part, like Brian May's playing the acoustic guitar here, really cool chord choices as well. And I love when they all harmonize on the "Oh, the night comes down." It's a really cool song. I really like it. This made my top 5.
All right, so I'm kind of in a similar position with Jason. Like when re-listening to this album again, like well, I did not remember this song going back to it. And then I was listening to it again and I heard that guitar riff. I'm like, that's pretty cool. Did I sleep on this song? Because I don't remember this song. And now listening to it again, I'm like, yeah, this is a really great Queen song. It's almost folksy like in a way, with more acoustic instrumentation, but that adds to the uniqueness of it, especially compared to the rest of the album. This is another Queen song that's got a great chorus. This is one I can't say it made my top 5, but it comes really close. It's a really good song.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the intro alone is what kind of gets your attention because, again, it's a very dark sounding intro. And yeah, I agree with Scott. I really love the sound of Roger's drums on this, especially that snare that comes in. This has a really cool tone to it, very unique. When the electric guitar comes in, how he bends that string, how he goes into it, just a nice way to transition into the main song. And once again, Freddie doing a nice job on the vocal department. So it's always been a very solid song to me. Always liked it quite a bit. Not in my top 5, but there's always something in here that you always kind of pick out each time you hear it. And also, this has nothing to do with my opinion, but I always found it humorous that there is actually a Beatles reference in here. The line, "Lucy was high and so was I." Obvious nod to classic Beatles track. But there you
Look
go.
how they fly like Lucy in the sky.
Now we can move on. This is another pretty significant song because now we have the first song written and sung by Roger Taylor, the drummer, with Modern Times Rock and Roll, his little ode to rock music. So, what do we think of Roger's debut?
And just like the debut of him being very short, my reviews could be very short. I thought this was a really great rock song. I'll be honest, I love Roger Taylor's voice. It's a fun, jam-packed rock song in such a short time. I don't really have much more to say. It's just a great rock song in my opinion.
Yeah, when this song started, my first thought was, I don't think this is Mercury singing. I was like, who the heck is singing here? And why is it not Freddie Mercury? That was my first thought when I was listening to it. And I didn't know who was singing it until he told me it's Taylor. And I thought it probably was Taylor. And I thought the vocals were terrible. I thought the song was terrible. I thought it was a fast-paced rock song. I thought it was very generic sounding. There was really no great hooks to me. Nothing memorable exactly, except that I thought the singing was so bad. I was like, definitely the worst song for me on the album.
I liked it. I mean, it's not my favorite song on the album, but I think it's fun. Like, you've got some great drumming on there. I think it's just kind of a cool little, just hard rocking song there. Like I said earlier, not my favorite song on the album, but it's good for what it is. And it's cool to hear Roger Taylor get to sing, because I know all the different members of Queen, other than John Deacon, usually sing at least one of the songs on the album. A pretty decent start for Roger Taylor's singing career. I think he definitely gets better.
All right, so Roger Taylor, I'm going to stress this now. He may not be as strong of a singer as Freddie Mercury, but Roger Taylor's a good singer in his own right, especially this little ditty about his car. I don't know. I probably should not have said ditty now that I said that, but okay.
The machine of a dream.
Can't take that back. This is not a good first impression for Roger Taylor because you hear this song and it's like the vocals are all over the place. there's not really much of a hook to this song, and this is just one that for me just comes in one ear and out the other. I don't think it's a terrible song like Jason makes it out to be. It's just, to me, it's very unremarkable. As far as tracks with vocals go, I would say this is the worst song on the album.
When he said a little ditty, he said I shouldn't have said ditty when I'm talking about the song of the car. I thought,
I mean,
there
you
not
could
have
at
been a
least said
well-oiled
exhaust pipe
machine?
instead. Anyways, but yeah, my thoughts on Modern Times Rock and Roll. I'm with Scott. I've always liked this song. I think it's very fun. At least he doesn't overstay his welcome too much. Roger's like, here's my song. Can I have a song? Like, okay, fine. But what I really enjoy about the song, like, it's a heavy song. Like, the guitars are very much all over this one. Just very heavy. Great tone from Bryan on this one. Almost, I mean, the song almost borderlines like punk rock almost, just how fast paced and just how aggressive it is, which I dig a lot. And of course, Roger is doing a good job on the drums, of course, keeping that beat going. And I think Roger does a solid job vocally. Like, I mean, of the Queen vocalists as we go, I mean, Roger's is always gonna be third place for me, but he can bring it when he really needs to, and he definitely is showing promise. Obviously, I do agree he will have better songs moving forward, but it's not a bad song to start with. And there's even, if you listen closely, there's some fast-paced piano playing underneath from Freddie. Like it's very, like really just that very fast, like almost like early time rock and roll, like a Jerry Lee Lewis type of thing, which is actually kind of cool if you listen closely for it. But yeah, it's not my top 5, but I always thought the song was very fun. But now we can move on with another Brian May song. We have Son and Daughter. This was the B-side to Keep Yourself Alive. And basically, what came out, when the song was basically based around, Brian was an only child when he was a kid, and he always kind of felt lonely, and he kind of felt where there are times he felt like a son and a daughter at the same time. That's basically based around that idea. But what do we think of Son and Daughter?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite Queen songs, if I'm being honest. This is a great heavy rock song. I'd say this is the heaviest Queen ever got, really, in their early stages. They get a little heavier on a couple of songs, but in terms of their first 2-3 albums, this is like really, really heavy. Like I could hear Sabbath doing this, like not Ozzy Sabbath, but like I could hear Dio Sabbath or even Ian Gillan Sabbath doing a song like this. To me, this is a huge highlight. Definitely a top 5 song for me.
Yeah, it's funny coming to this son and daughter, and I'm thinking, don't we have a lot of titles like this? Isn't there like a father and daughter or a father and son?
To Son.
The Son, yeah.
And yeah, this is another song where I was like, wow, I don't remember this song at all. And so it was a great discovery. Another one where I'm like, this is a great rock song. This is, to me, the best rock song on the album. It rocks really good. I mean, the guitar riff, it's like the best guitar riff on the album. I call this like a head bobber. Like I just bobbed my head to it. I was like, yeah, I'm like really getting into it like I do with like Led Zeppelin or something. Mercury, great vocals again, rock vocals on this one. This one, another one, yeah, just really surprised me. I don't remember liking this song before, but now I'm like, this is one of their best songs now.
The intro is epic. This is like the closest that Queen has gotten to doing the combination of Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, really. And then it keeps going back to that harmonized thing with the guitar and Brian May's guitar solos. It's just like, this song is so good. This is one of my favorite songs on the album here. It's so good.
All right, so this is a great rock song. I love the song particularly for the guitar. The lyrics around it, I didn't know the context of it at the time until Brian just pointed out. Bryer, I mean, I was like, what?
That brings me back to when I was a kid, when I was in school.
Yeah. I know a guy literally in my personal space named Brian, and I always get him and you mixed up all the time.
Yeah, I know.
So okay.
Every time I introduce myself to someone new, I say my name, and they always assume I say Brian.
But as to what you were saying, until you brought up the context of the song, I didn't know what Freddie was singing about. I thought this was like some song about possibly gender politics or something, almost with the son and daughter thing. But I do like the song. It's not my favorite song on the album. It didn't quite make the top 5, considering 3 of the songs inside one made my top 5, but still a really good rocker.
This is another killer deep cut on here, and really, for the reason being, it's like Nick said, it's definitely the heaviest song on here. I mean, that guitar riff is just everything. It's just ferocious sounding. Freddie's vocals is absolutely spectacular. I love how he's really using his more grittier tone. Yeah, I do agree. It's not like the most complex song. It is a bit more straightforward, but it's still a killer song. Like, it is a nice little standout moment. It's definitely a highlight for me for sure. Still fantastic. We are back with Freddie with another song he wrote, and that song is Jesus. Really, the background info is going to be pretty brief because I think we all know what it's about. But there we go. What do we think of Jesus?
I like Jesus. Oh, you mean
if we're talking about the person,
sorry. I should specify. Sorry, that was my bad.
I really like the song. And by the way, I don't really have much to review about because it's just kind of a more straightforward song. It's ironic how he writes this song, and then when we get to jazz, he goes Mustafa, 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 right? The change up in like 5 years is crazy. But besides that, I don't really have much more to add. I'd say of the last 2 songs, I think the last 2 songs are my least favorite on the album, and I have the least to say about it. Like, I enjoyed them as tracks, but you're gonna get a very basic review from me. But that's about it for me about Jesus.
Yeah, I don't remember the song. There's another song I don't remember. And wow, what a weird, I mean, to have a song called Jesus, and it's not a Christian band, Christian album, and you have a song called Jesus. It was very odd to me, if that makes sense, that they would have a song called Jesus. And it made me a little scared, to be honest, like going to him like, oh, Jesus, like, what are they going to talk about Jesus? They're not Christian. And then I get to the song, and it's like, oh, it's just a song about Jesus. Like, I was listening to the lyrics, I'm like, they're telling the story of Jesus. Great. Like, it all worked, I thought. I was like, there's nothing blasphemous here. There's nothing terrible. It's like, it seems like just straightforward from the Bible. I mean, you say Mercury wrote it, but I mean, obviously it's the Bible. I thought it was really catchy. Loved that chorus part that Nick was doing there. And if I remember all the lyrics, but yeah, that da, 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 Jesus, like that whole part. I love that chorus. The only criticism I have is there was kind of this long guitar jam towards the end, if I remember right. And I was starting to go, oh no, they're going to ruin this song with the long guitar jam. It was going so well. And then I was like, is this how they're going to end the song? But if I remember right, they go back to the chorus or something like that. And then oh, okay, good. They're going to go back and sing again to end it on a good note. So it helped out the song. Because I was like, oh man, don't have this long guitar jam out of nowhere. Doesn't fit the song, you know. But overall, another great surprise for me. I thought this was actually really good.
I had a feeling this album would grow on you, Jason. I'm like, Jason's a huge Queen fan. It's his second favorite band, and I'm like, maybe the time, maybe like the time between listens would help.
Yeah,
because sometimes it helps.
This is a fun song. It almost feels like a song that you would sing like a when you go camping.
Yeah,
and you like where you have one guy who sings the verses, and then the whole campfire sings when you get to the chorus.
Yeah,
like the verses are very dramatic with like it's more in a minor mode, but then the chorus is major and it sounds like a big sing along thing. That's pretty good. That's gonna get stuck in my head for the next like 5 hours, and it did. But yeah, I like this one.
All right, so when I first listened to this album, I was a little scared going into the song. Going in, I'm like, okay, the song's called Jesus. Is this song going to be about Jesus? Is it going to be just a generic song? Is it going to be a song that like takes his name in vain? What are we going to do here? And then you get to the song, I'm like, this song is amazing. This is one of my favorite songs on the album. This is probably I think if I had done like the best discovery thing like I do now, I would have said this was the best discovery on the album. I think this song is absolutely epic. Lyrically, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. He's just singing about the life of Jesus. Freddie completely like sells the storytelling. The guitar solo worked, I thought. But my favorite thing about this entire song is the chorus.
Yeah.
This song has the best harmonies on any song on the album. Sometimes randomly, like this song will pop in my head, and it's a really catchy song. This is the final song that made my top 5. This song is awesome.
That's great to hear because I've always kind of enjoyed the song. I say love, but I do love the song, but didn't quite make the top 5, just barely missed out. But yeah, I think it is strangely catchy, especially in the chorus, that whole sing along thing. Like, yeah, I can totally see people just kind of arm in arm, just kind of just chanting that. And this was actually a pretty popular live song they did early on. They always kind of played the song. I love Freddie's delivery on this one. Like how he is so dramatic about it. This song kind of shows him really starting to really showcase his more theatrical side. Great guitar solo, another one of his best ones here. And again, the harmony is fantastic. And I love how the final bits of the song is just them, just the harmonies, just kind of has it quickly fades out and it just closes. Kind of very interesting note. And I say that because, of course, that's the last time we hear vocals on this album. And we move on to the next track. Seven Seas of Rhye, the instrumental, composed from Freddie. Yep, it's an instrumental. There's not much to say. We'll talk more about the song when we get to the next album, but what do we think of this instrumental version of Seven Seas of Rhye?
Well, I'm going to assume this is going to be a very short review, and just like the instrumental, I'm going to have very few words to say about this. It is a decent album opener. I mean, album closer. It's not going to affect my score, but yeah, it's just there. I mean, obviously, it's going to be my least favorite track on the album. There's one thing about this version that's never replicated in the vocal version. So it's like slower the piano too, and then but before it's like bum, and then you get a little bass boom 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 boom. You never get that in the vocal version. I'm sad it's not in the vocal version. It is what it is, though. It's just a minor complaint about the vocal version, is that it doesn't have that cool little bass line.
Yeah, I agree. It's not much to say. It's kind of just a throwaway song at the end. But it's only minute 15, so it doesn't ruin the album at all because it's just some instrumental that comes and goes really quickly. Strange ending to the album for me, but yeah.
It sounds like an unfinished song because that's what it is, an unfinished song. Thankfully, they finish it on the next album, and I'm going to save my thoughts on it for the next album whenever we get the finished song.
See, this is tricky because I love the piano riff on the song. As Scott just said, this feels like an incomplete song. So because this is the incomplete song, it feels like you kind of cheated us out of a good album closer here. So not real crazy on that. You should have just saved this for the next album and made Jesus the album closer. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with everyone. You know, again, it's an instrumental, and it does have a demo quality about it. It's short, so that, again, that's not overstay its welcome. But guitars, bass, drums, piano. I mean, they all are still good. But again, we know they got a complete song in them. But yeah, not the strongest way to go out on this album because you start off with one of the best songs, "Keep Yourself Alive," and then you close out with this. Still, it's fine. It's okay. Don't hate it. But we know they can do better. Normally, that would be the end of things. We would start wrapping up around this time, but we got a little bonus song here. We got the rejected song that was originally supposed to be for this album. We have Mad the Swine.
I guess I've come to save you.
A Freddie Mercury pen track. And it was originally supposed to be on the album. It was supposed to be in between Great King Rhett and My Fairy King. But it got cut because the band and producers just could not agree on a mix to the point where they just gave up and like let's just save the song somewhere. We'll maybe keep it around maybe, and it didn't really surface until in like recent reissues. I know in like recent, not this particular CD copy, but in like there's like a 2 CD version of this issue from 2011 that actually has a bonus disc which includes Mad the Swine. It would eventually be reinstated in the album on the Queen 1 box set. Does anybody have any opinions on Mad the Swine? You need to answer the question. Do you think this song should have been included on the album?
Yes, but not in that position. I know that's the original position it was supposed to be in, but when I was listening to the album earlier, I realized that Great King Rat and My Fairy King go right into each other. There's like a drum solo that connects the two songs. And so if you're going to do it, I'd say maybe make Mad the Swine the closing song instead of the 7 Seas of Rhye instrumental version. I actually like this song. I think it's cool. I like the chorus is super catchy. I'm glad that we're talking about this song because I really liked it. I like that it's kind of a more chill song, and I think that they should have ended the album with this instead of the instrumental 7 Seas of Rhye.
Yeah, I also agree that it should have been on the album. I actually just heard the song for the first time today, and I thought it was a terrific song. Great chorus, great guitar work, another great song from Freddie Mercury. I don't agree with where it ended up being on the 2024 release. Having this in between Great King Rat and My Fairy King's not the best placement because I think, like Scott was saying, those two songs go well together. I would have taken the Roger Taylor song off and put Mad the Swine in its place instead. So you have Night Comes Down, Mad the Swine, then Son and Daughter, and then close out with Jesus. And I think that would be an even better side too. This is an excellent song. It sucks that it's not on the actual album, but it's good that we can still listen to it and put it on Spotify and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I personally enjoyed the song. If I were to install it on the album, I'd put it in between Son and Daughter and Jesus. I'd say it would be like a Helter Skelter Long 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 thing where it'd be like the heaviest song on the album, followed by the softest song on the album kind of thing. Besides that, I have nothing much to say.
I forgot to listen to it, so.
All right. For me, yeah, I've always liked the song. You know, at first you're like, okay, I can kind of see why they didn't include it after a while, but when you actually give it more listens, it starts to kind of affect you because you do kind of see some good merits here. Like I do like the part, especially the beginning where Freddie, it's just him and acoustic guitar, and it's just him doing his nice kind of more softer vocal. Sounds really nice, and you have some nice gentle percussion in there. But again, once the song starts to pick up, it has this good bounce to it. Some nice bass playing on here, and yeah, the chorus is really catchy. And there's even some congas, I think, underneath it, which was kind of cool. It's a very fun track. I think they could have fit it in. I don't honestly know where. Personally, for me, I don't usually think like that, but you know, anywhere is fine, really. But still, I think it's a nice cut. It's a nice cut, and yeah, definitely think it's still worth checking out if you're a Queen fan. And now we can finally move on to the top 5 tracks. What is everyone's top 5 songs on Queen's debut?
Okay, so my top 5 is going to be actually since I'll give 2 honorable mentions. So My Fairy King and Keep Yourself Alive. My number 5 is going to be The Night Comes Down. Number 4, Great King Rat. Number 3, Doing All Right. Number 2, Liar. And number 1, Son and Daughter.
For me, number 5, I'm going with Jesus, which I'm wondering if I could play that song in church and get away with it, as long as I don't tell them who it's by. I wonder. Number 4 is Keep Yourself Alive. Number 3 is Doing All Right. Number 2, Son and Daughter. Number 1, The Night Comes Down.
I'm glad that song's getting love, Son and Daughter.
Yeah.
My number 5 is The Night Comes Down. Number 4, Keep Yourself Alive. Number 3, Liar. Number 2, Son and Daughter. And number 1, Great King Rat.
Hey, that's cool. Yeah, awesome.
Hey. All right. I will share my honorable mentions. Son and Daughter, My Fairy King, The Night Comes Down's my number 6. If it was on the album, At the Swine would have been an honorable mention too. But my top 5, number 5, Keep Yourself Alive. Number 4, Liar. Number 3, Great King Rat. Number 2, Doing All Right. Number 1, Jesus.
Jesus.
Wow. So
Right.
all 4 of us have different number 1s so far.
Mm-hmm.
For one so
Right.
far.
Okay. So now the real list. Anyway, no, sorry. Number 5.
He
I
just,
have
it's
Hey,
all of it out in
the real list was already. Hey, the list
Last,
was.
last I
real
checked,
list is
the
already
real
set.
list is number 1, Keeping Yourself Alive. Number 2, Doing All Right. Number 3, Get King Rat. Oh wait, no,
That's
it's
the
just a
track list.
thing.
Number 5. I have Great King Rap. Number 4. Doing All Right. Number 3. Keep Yourself Alive. Number 2. Son and Daughter. And number 1 is Liar.
That's a
So-
good choice.
There we
Wow,
go.
all 5 of us have
All 5
different number 1s.
Different
That's great,
top-
and nobody put "Keep Yourself Alive" as number 1 either. That's so
That's
weird.
great. I love that no one picked the hit song as the best.
So now kind of leads us into our rating. What do we rate this album out of 10?
Well, get used to me saying this. This is a 10 out of 10 album.
Yeah, I figured it'd be a lot of 10s on the series.
Oh, 13 out of 15 other albums are getting
Yeah.
a 10 for me.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of 10s.
Wow.
You'll be happy you didn't know when I first rated this album, I rated it a 6 out of 10, and I am now ranking it an 8 out of 10. So hope you guys are happy that I
I'm very happy. I mean, we all know once we get to a night, the opera year scores are going to get berserk high.
go.
So
and then yeah, I'm shocked myself. I expected to come to this going, oh, this is one of my least favorite albums. And I think what did it for me was the discoveries of The Night Comes Down, which was I had never expected that to be my number one. I assumed Doing All Right would be my number 1, but I was like, wow, there's some great songs here that I don't remember. The Night Comes Down, Son, Daughter, and Jesus. It's those 3 songs that really upped my score up to 8. And I don't know why I did not like this album before. I don't know. Now I do.
This one takes a few listens. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
The first time I heard it, I didn't really like anything outside of like
Okay.
Doing All Right and Keep
Yeah.
Yourself Alive. But,
Yeah, me too. So
you know, listening to it a third or fourth time, it was like, this is actually a pretty good album.
yeah.
I'm going to go with a 9.5. Tempted to give it the big double-digit number, but, it's Queen. Also considering instrumental of the 7 Seas of Rhye. Maybe Modern Times Rock and Roll. Maybe it's because it's their first album. They're still trying to find their sound. I don't know, but I'm trying not to give all of their albums a 10. But it's very close. It's very close. This album is amazing, and it's a fantastic way to start off their discography.
Well, I will admit, when I first deep dived all their albums, when I first listened to this album, I said, well, it didn't have a polished sound, but I thought it was a decent start. I gave it a 7 out of 10. How stupid I was giving it a 7, because I listened to this album again, and I'm like, what was I doing giving this a 7? This album is awesome. There's like banger after banger song on this album. Most of the songs landed for me except the Roger Taylor one, but this is a great debut album. So many great songs. So we're going from a 7 to a 9 out of 10. Great debut.
So this series, I'm going to try really hard not to be biased and not give all these albums 10 out of 10. Well, on this first episode, I'm failing because I got to give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it is one of the most underrated debut albums ever. I mean, when you talk about debut albums, you hear the usual suspects, Led Zeppelin, Boston, you can name others like Guns N' Roses,
Cars.
just many of them. But this album doesn't get brought up, and I think it's a real
David
shame.
Bowie.
Yeah, no, not Bowie. Yeah, no, not him. But we're not talking about him yet. But I think this album definitely deserves to be talked about more because, it's Queen at their most raw, which fair. because they're still kind of ironing out the fine kinks, but it is still the seeds to what they're going to become are still here. And I think the rawness actually really works in his favor because it does give it a much more darker, very more heavier tone, which is something they kind of they don't lose it, but they don't do it as much on their later albums. So in that regard, I think it's a very fantastic start to the career and definitely a great way to start for the band. So 10 out of 10. Well, that's about all we have to do here. But of course, do we have any final thoughts before we close out?
Great album to review. I'm excited to get to Queen 2.
Yeah, I thought this was a great album. I'm excited to re-listen to Queen 2 again. There's one song on that album that floored me when I listened to it. And it's the precursor to their big song, so you guys can put 2 and 2 together there.
There's a whole half of that record that floored me. That every time I listen to it, it's like,
I said this was much better than I expected, is what I said, and I didn't like the next album either. So we'll see if I like the next one. I'm curious now if my opinion changes.
Yeah, I say Queen 2 is going to be a very interesting discussion. But of course, hopefully look forward to that one because I certainly am. Got the vinyl ready and everything. But thank you for all the people who are watching and or listening to this. Definitely a lot of fun starting this. Definitely going to be a lot of fun just talking about my favorite band of all time. So make sure you subscribe to all my guests that you see here. All the links will be in the description. And from all of us here, we will see you next time when we cover Queen 2. Thank you very much, and then we will see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye for now.